Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English. And friends, in this video I'm going to summarize an important poem titled Refugee, Mother and Child, composed by Chinua Achebe, the famous Nigerian novelist, poet and professor and critic. And this person is known for bringing the change in the African literature, for influencing the African literature. And let's know the background behind this important poem. This poem is based on the suffering caused by the Nigerian Civil War, which happened between 1967 and 1970. During this war, many people, especially women and children, they were forced to live in refugee camps without any enough food, water, or medical care. Thousands of children died from starvation and disease, and the mothers had to watch helplessly. Chinua Achebe witnessed this suffering and wrote this poem to show the deep love of a mother even in such terrible conditions. So, this poem focuses on one mother who, despite knowing her child will not survive, still takes care of her son with love and with care. Through this, Chinua Achebe reminds us of the pain caused by the war and the strength of a mother's love even in the worst times. So, this is the background of the whole poem. Now, we are going to summarize the poem stanza wise. So, I'll read the stanza, then I'll give the input or the important explanation of each stanza. So, there are four stanzas in this poem. Stanza number one. No Madonna and child could touch that picture of a mother's tenderness for a son she soon would have to forget. In this stanza, the poet says that even the famous image of the Madonna and child, which image? The image which shows the Virgin Mary holding baby Jesus, cannot, even the famous image of the Madonna and child cannot compare to the love shown by a refugee mother for her dying child. Means to say, the this mother's affection is far beyond the affection of Virgin Mary, who shows her affection towards the baby Jesus, right? Her love is incredibly strong and pure. Whose love? The mother, who is showing her love towards her dying child, and her love is incredibly strong and pure. However, she knows that her child may not survive and she will soon have to say goodbye to her child. So, this makes her tenderness even more heartbreaking. This makes her love, her tenderness even more heartbreaking. Second stanza, the poet says, the air was heavy with odors the air was heavy with odors of diarrhea of unwashed children, with washed out ribs and dried up bottoms, struggling in labored steps behind blown empty bellies. So Chinua Achebe, the poet, describes the terrible conditions in the refugee camp. So anyway, directly indirectly, the poet is describing the conditions of children in the particular camp, in the refugee camp, and the air is filled with the bad smell of sickness because the children are not clean. They are suffering from diarrhea, and the whole atmosphere is stinking over there due to their sickness. They're all extremely thin with the visible ribs and the weak bodies. They are suffering from the malnutrition. They are not getting the quality food. Their stomachs are swollen from malnutrition, and they struggle to walk because they have no energy. So, this description shows how much the children are suffering due to the hunger and disease in the refugee camp. In spite of that, the mother is showing her care, her tenderness towards her dying child. Stanza number three, the poet says, most mothers there had long ceased to care, but not this one. She held a ghost smile between her teeth and in her eyes the ghost of a mother's pride as she combed the rust-colored hair left on his skull and then. In this stanza, the poet says that most of the mothers in the refugee camps have become very numb to the pain. because since long time they have been watching, they have been ignoring, I'm sorry, they have been observing this pain. They have seen so much suffering that they no longer show emotions or the care as they once did. However, one mother is different. She still cares very deeply for her child. What does she do? Even though she knows her child is going to die, she tries to smile. But this smile is weak and lifeless. Lifeless. This smile is like a ghost smile. Her pride as a mother is also fading, but this mother holds on it. This mother holds on to it. She's still showing her motherhood. She's still showing her motherly care. She lovingly combs the little, thin, rust colored hair left on her child's head, which shows a sign of severe malnutrition. So, this simple act of this mother enduring love and care, even in the face of heartbreak, even in this tough situation where all the children including her child is also facing the malnutrition, even the atmosphere is very much stinking, right? And she's showing her ghostly, even the other mothers are showing ghostly smile, but this mother's smile is not getting fading away, right? And still she's combing the child's hair, though the hair is thin, rust color rust colored hair due to the severe malnutrition. Maybe the child is getting baldy also, might be losing the hair also due to the malnutrition. So this is what the poet describes in this stanza. In the last stanza, the poet says here, singing in her eyes, began carefully to part it. In another life, this would have been a little daily act of no consequence before his breakfast and school. Now she did it, like putting flowers on a tiny grave. So in this last stanza, or in these last lines, mother's eyes seem to sing with silent love and sadness as she carefully parts her child's thin hair. The way she's going to comb the child's thin hair, it seems that mother's eyes are singing a kind of silent song, and this song is depicting love as well as sadness. The poet reflects on how, in a normal life, the simple act of combing a child's hair would have been an ordinary part of the morning routine before sending him to school. The poet says that if there would have been no refugee camp and this mother would have been in her normal life, and this time the mother would have been combing her child's hair because the child would go to the school. So it would be a time for the departing for the school. But now, but now they are in the refugee camp, no school, and the mother is combing her child's hair, and her eyes shows that she is singing with a kind of silent love as well as a sadness. So it would have been something small and insignificant. But now in the refugee camp, this act, combing child's hair, this act feels completely different. The mother knows her child is dying, and combing her hair becomes a heartbreaking gesture of love and care. The poet compares the poet compares it to the putting flowers on a tiny grave, showing that the mother is already mourning her child, even though he is still alive. This comparison highlights her sorrow and the tragic reality she is going to face. So, in this manner, we can say here, to sum up, we can say here Chinua Achebe's poem, Refugee, Mother and Child, portrays the heartbreaking love of a mother who is caring for her dying child in the refugee camp. Despite the terrible conditions, she continues to show tenderness, like combing her child's thin hair. So, what was once a simple, everyday act now symbolizes her sorrow and farewell. Though this powerful depiction, Chinua Achebe, through this powerful depiction, the poet highlights the enduring strength of maternal love amid the devastating effects of war and loss. So, friends, this is how I have tried to summarize an interesting poem, um, quite important poem, which depicts mother's love and care in spite of the time, in spite of having faced a lot of difficulties in the life, in spite of her mother knows that her child is going to die, but still her eyes shows love as well as sadness. So this is a summary of the poem Refugee Mother and Child, composed by Chinua Achebe. This is in the syllabus of second semester BCA General English under Bangalore University. Friends, hope you like this video. If you have any questions, any doubt, you can reach me at mukeshenglish@gmail.com. Subscribe the channel if you've not yet done it. And also look at the playlist, the description box. You'll get all the other lessons videos over there. Please do share this video to your friends, to your classmates. Thank you so much for watching this video. Stay tuned with Mukesh English.